I'd like to share today a question was just asked or handed to me. One question that seems like an ongoing theme that we've covered before. I want to talk about relationships, but not typical material. I want to talk about past lives and how they affect our current life, how they affect everything we do, really. Now, including our relationships. So let's talk about past lives, but really from a different place than sometimes you hear about past lives. One thing I don't believe in, don't support, is blaming things on past lives, because that again disempowers you. It's just like the same as blaming all women, all men, all this, all you don't want to find a thing outside yourself. Past lives are not per se outside ourselves, but in a way they are, because they're not happening right here, right now. Not literally happening right here and right now. So please remember that rule so that I can also go a little nuts here and explain some really trippy things that most people don't understand about past lives. But don't forget the rule number one, which is don't go to the point of excessive power or whatever, on past lives. We don't want to get to the place where we say, for example, I was unhappy in a past life, so I can't be happy today. I didn't have money in a past life, so I can't be happy today. I was not a nice person before, I can't be a nice person now. Everybody, for the most part, screwed up if you've had enough lifetimes. It's kind of like saying, you can be the New England Patriots and win every game, but you're going to lose one here and there. It's just going to happen. It doesn't matter how great you are as a soul. You live enough lifetimes and you're going to slip somewhere, because the earth just does that. It's just dense and it wrings you out. So Jesus has had past lives, believe it or not. And, we all kind of have this curve where we come into the earth plane, and some of us we dip into the karma, the illusion, and buy into the pain, aspect of it. We all dip in at least a little bit. Some of us, really nosedive into it full on. But everybody's got that curve downward. Just some more than others. And so hopefully that eases that concept a little bit, even though once again, we can go, hey man, how much was your learning curve? And still try to compare and compete. Just don't get caught up in that. Just think of it as we all dropped in to some degree or another. Just don't try to qualify it and compete it, okay? Anyway, so we come in, and what's amazing is in the soul's journey, the soul momentarily thinks to itself, what would life be like in this universe, outside of heaven and in a universe? The universe explodes, becomes a place, and it starts to cool eventually while souls come in and start landing in places. At first, observing the whole experience from afar, so to speak. But we start landing into this universe. We start saying, wow, what's going on here? What is this place? We were, as Dorothy says, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. So we found ourselves outside of Kansas, outside of heaven, and in a world with scarecrows and tin men and whatever else. It's all a metaphor of life. We're going, what is all this? And to some degree, we felt terror because we're in the darkness of space, so to speak. And then, to another degree, there's a fascination. Well, what is that? What is that thing over there? It's a nebula. What is that? It's a planet. What's that? It's a rock, once you get into planetary spheres. So we come into this experience and we're saying to ourselves, okay, well, this is where we've landed. We've come into this dream, this universe experience, and we're sort of landing somewhere. We're landing, like we're densifying. Some of us densify more than others, and we've already done talks on that, various kingdoms, the elemental kingdoms, the angels, and all this, so you can watch those on Facebook lectures or YouTube or wherever, but you can check those out. Remember, we have tons and tons and hundreds of talks, and it's kind of a drag because sometimes people just think, well, there's so many, you become overwhelmed. Try to intuit. Think of my videos as a book like the Bible with many chapters or pages. And then, like some people do with inspirational reading. You pray, you crack it open and read the page you're landing on, right? Or the passage or the reading or whatever. Try that technique with the videos where you just kind of say, well, there's so many, I'm not sure which to pick. Do a little prayer and open up the book, so to speak, the YouTube directory or whatever of my videos, and just let one call you, let land on one and see what's there. Trust that there's going to be something you need in that particular moment. Other times, just let the titles speak to you. There's a topic you're interested in. So we came into this world and we land somewhere, and then let's call it our first landing, our initial experience in the material universe. And just like life for a child, when it comes to Earth, its first experience, a warm, welcome experience, a scary, the backseat of a taxi cab on the way to the hospital. It's different for everybody. But those experiences, they imprint to our impressionable souls. You think a child is impressionable. Our souls were very, 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 very impressionable. We're sitting there doing nothing but sponging everything up as souls, far more than even children, babies do. So we're like, where am I? The awe of that. Where am I? Wow. And all of a sudden we land, and is it a safe landing? And it starts becoming an impression. You could call it initial programming. Wow, I'm here and it's not so bad. Or, oh my God, where am I? This place is terrifying. And that can carry with you lifetime after lifetime, those initial experiences. When they say that first impression, well, you have a first impression of Earth or the material universe for that matter. But we have a first impression. How was yours? You don't know? Well, sometimes you do know because it still carries with us. There are chances that some of our first experiences got worked out and healed. For most people, not so lucky, but over many lifetimes, we do kind of peel off layers and work on things. But the problem is, each time we come back, there's another semi-first impression. It's not the first, but it's a semi-first impression again. So off we go. It's like, here we are again, first impression again. And here we impressionable, and the parents want me, they don't want me. Those tell us something. Those things, they can make you feel welcome. I want to explain, though, to bring the responsibility back to us. If in a perfect universe, in a perfect world, we would recognize so clearly our power and our light, it would not matter if our parents want us or not. It would not matter if people despise us or not, they tease us at school or not, we look funky, our hair isn't cut just right, and so on. Those things would just like water off a duck's back. It would just wash right off. In a perfect world with a perfect soul. But we're forgetting our perfection. And instead, we're seeing ourselves as vulnerable. I was with God 1 minute. The next minute, I'm a naked soul flying through the universe at light speed, literally, because we're light, at light speed, shooting through the vast, cold darkness of the universe, not knowing how I got here, because we have an amnesia. See, the embryological experience, the experience of a child being sparked into life and then developing, and then being born, it's a metaphor of, it's amazing. That biological experience is a metaphor of our soul experience. So once upon a time becomes every lifetime, and as a microcosm of the bigger picture. So picture this, guys. The child is with God, just like the child is, in a sense, sparked in the womb and in the warmth and safety in general of the womb. However, the concept of we separate from God is almost like the separation from the mother. Where am I? Where are you taking me? And then these breathing apparatuses, and they poke you to get blood out of you, to do a blood test. Just all kinds of weird things. And that's like Earth. We separate from God. We're startled, just like the baby initially. We're startled. Where am I? There's the darkness of the womb, but you're still okay. But you seemingly leave that womb and out. You come out, so you're coming into the universe and into density. The SWAT on the bottom, the traditional one. Or whatever else. And here we are, like in this world. And some have an even more rough entrance to the world with, different techniques to extract a child from the womb and all that. the mother wanting us, the mother not wanting us, the father wanting us, the father not wanting us. All these things are adding to the experience. And we come into this world, just like we separate from God, we enter this world, and then things start to develop. That umbilical cord is like our silver cord, as it's called, that keeps us connected, our soul to our body. So there's all these amazing parallels. As I'm getting to the point with this, though, that's how we get here. And then you live and you have your first lifetime. We all came in here, for the most part, we all came in here in phases. Like, in other words, we lived in almost astral bodies for a period long ago, forgotten time. And then we came in almost like etheric bodies after a while. We came back as in etheric bodies. Eventually, denser bodies were created. And it's almost like mankind was projecting. It's interesting because A Course in Miracles will use the word project, psychological projections, meaning I project my stuff onto you and we do this to each other. My issues, my wounds, my insecurities, we project on other people. So somebody says, I know you don't love me anymore in a relationship. And often we're projecting our own insecurities that we're not lovable onto that person. Now, the sad thing is sometimes they actually don't love us anymore and we're picking up on it. But we forget, we can't even tell which is which. Is it, am I making this up, or am I picking this up? Making this up or picking this up? And people are so wounded we can't be honest about it. So we live in fear that it could be true and it's all ambiguous. See? So this is a messed up life, right? So think of that and look at it as a parallel to everything else I'm describing. We're coming into this world and we projected from being spirit beings. I don't mean one with God. I'm past that now. Soul-like beings in the universe, and we started projecting into matter. We started projecting ourselves into the planetary spheres and so on. Now, once we got caught in a solar system's, let's call it almost like it's gravitational pull, but it's an energetic attraction. So we got energetically pulled in that spiral of a solar system, right? A galaxy and a solar system. One way we can look at the spirals they're like whirlpools that are sucking us in. So they pull us in and we become trapped in that evolutionary cycle. Even if you get out of a solar system cycle somehow, like when you pass over, let's say you were to be able to segue somewhere else, you typically will stay at least within that galaxy's processes. So whatever part of the universe, a countless number of souls split into different parts of the universe. Then smaller levels split into different parts of a galaxy and split into different parts of a solar system, even to different planets on that solar system. And the planets are swirling and sucking us in. So we come to the earth plane, obviously, a huge number of us. We came into the earth plane. Some came later than others, but we're showing up and we find ourselves saying, okay, now we go from drawing in on an etheric level, and eventually we start to project through our minds. We project it into more like objects, like animals. Some of us remember feeling like we're animals. We think we remember being dolphin and so on. If you ever have that, it's because there are times we projected into them. We didn't incarnate as them. That means you weren't birthed through seed as a dolphin or whatever. Sometimes we actually remember being animals because we projected into them in certain times. And that's why the Bible's describing these mutations. It's saying the children of God got trapped. And Greek mythology describes it as this whole, creatures that were half this and half that. Because we were using our minds to mate one being to another. This one's a dolphin and that one's something else in it. And they mated because we chose mentally to cause mating, and it was not a harmonious mating, so we were making creatures. So the Bible's I know this all sounds kind of out there, but so the Bible and other sources are describing a period when there were all these creatures. And then the Bible says, and God repented that it made man. It's not an accurate statement, but that's us projecting our crap onto God. But we're saying, and in other words, wow, things are funky, man. We are souls and we got trapped in material materiality. You can't, how do you do that? We messed things up. We were souls that could have still gotten home, but we got trapped materially. So, at some point, a plan was made, and we probably don't have time to go into it right now, but a plan was made to create bodies. So we didn't evolve from amoeba and then on upwards, and into humanoids, anthropoids rather, and then into human bodies. There's not a missing link. There actually isn't. We simply lived in these different kinds of creatures at different times. And there's also, believe it or not, extraterrestrial involvement, some light beings and some not so nice, that were trying to use genetic manipulations on things, because they're caught in this thing too, this universe. So they're doing their thing to survive and get by. So a beautiful dispensation was created where some beings said, we have to go to the earth plane and help the ones that got trapped. They came here, the second wave, so to speak, and they got trapped. Then a third wave came in and said, we're going to go in and we're not going to try to save them, just like humans in relationships, where we try to rescue them and we get sucked in. This third group said, no, we're going to go there and actually create bodies, human bodies. In various ways, we're going to create human, so we didn't come from an ape, we created humanoid bodies now that would have the right structure, vibration, esoteric embryology, esoteric energy systems, so that we could use the body as an evolutionary device. It may sound strange, but I'm trying to be brief, okay? So what we did was we created the human body so that the groups 1 and 2 of the human soul groups, we created bodies so that groups 1 and 2, when they pass over, when they die, their soul will free out of the body again. But because they got trapped, they're stuck now in this evolutionary cycle, in this solar system and all that. They need somewhere to go. They would now incarnate as bodies that were now going to be getting birthed in human birthing processes. So I hope that makes sense. And if not, listen to it again, because I'm giving the gist of it. Even if all the others sounded way out there, check out just this part where we're saying that souls that were trapped in various ways, various forms, literally in various forms, when they died, they are freed out of their body, just like we are when we die. We're out of the body, but now where do we go? This final part, this third section of that group that comes in, this third part says we're coming in not to save the other two groups, but to create bodies for them to go into so they could save themselves. And that's kind of how we start our first physical human lifetimes. So that plan was made. It's important to understand that plan was made not for a quick out. We lost the chance of that when we got sucked in, and we did get sucked in. So now we have to go through human evolution of consciousness. And, so here we are. We have our first life, our second life, third life, and so on. And that's why, one reason why the flood takes place, the traditional flood, it wipes out a lot of the remaining creatures that were trapped and not able to get out and come into a human form to incarnate. Okay, so let's start now with the human bodies. If the rest was bizarre, think of it as you just blacked out and had a bizarre flashback, and and you're just now listening, so you won't remember any of what I just shared if it was too out there. So let's start it again, in a sense, with human bodies. We incarnate again and again. As soon as we incarnate, we're starting to work on any issues in our consciousness. Even if you just flew in from the universe and you come into a body, you're still going to say, who am I? What am I? What is this thing I got now, this body? Your thought relationships will become your human relationships. Everything happening inside, like psychologically, spiritually, and so on, is going to be projected and lived on the outside. How? Well, many ways, but the primary way is through our relationships. So when we say, and let me now start really tuning into this about relationships, when we say, I have a lot of bad luck with men or women or partnerships, marriages, commitments, children, whatever it is, those typically are not out of the blue. They're coming from somewhere. We're having challenges because we are challenged. We're kind of, there's a saying in the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun. One meaning to that is we're reliving our stuff. You know, what we think is happening, like, you know, all too often for the first time is not for the first time. It might be the first time in this form, but there's traces of it somewhere, because whatever is unhealed in me will get worked out in my external life. That which we do not work out through healing, we will live out in our feelings and in our lives. So, you know, we're kind of in this, and somebody says, how can I deal with, I'm having a heartbreak today. And again, each part of this talk could in itself be its own talk. So tune into this though. Somebody says, somebody broke my heart. I mean, I was in this relationship, it ended, and they broke my heart. And, you know, I saw this gal just today, and it was interesting because I said, hey, how you doing? Haven't seen her in maybe a year or two. Hey, good to see you. How you doing? Her first response was, I'm fat. I was like, okay. And then she goes right into, I mean, I haven't seen her in years, and I'm fat. Okay. And she said, well, I am. I gained 80 pounds. My dad died. I haven't totally processed it. My life's a mess, and so on. And also, this all triggered before her dad died, that some guy dumped her, she said. And so she just started nosediving. Now understand, the guy dumping her isn't the problem. The guy dumping her is, there it is again. See, to her, this happened before, not just in this lifetime, in other lifetimes, but in this lifetime too. What I'm saying is that we carry all this stuff with us, and then we meet somebody and we dump it on them. Look, I've been betrayed many times. I want you to be the person to not do that. Please fix me now. And that person's carrying that. Needless to say, when they betray you, if they betray you, if they let you down, if they leave you, even if they die, there's a loss. And remember, you're not having the letdown, loss, betrayal, or whatever of just that moment. Every loss from every lifetime is riding on today's losses. All we're doing is reliving the past constantly. Of course, in Miracles, I see only the past. You see? It's just reliving. And it's, you know, the good news is it's an opportunity, because if you can get it, you realize this thing that's come around again, like a betrayal. If I work on and truly, thoroughly heal the betrayal today, I'm actually healing all betrayals throughout all lifetimes. That's how efficient healing is. Oh, I just clear betrayal. That's kind of cool. There's this person who's been insensitive. We think of them as a jerk or whatever. They're so insensitive, but at the same time, when you realize, why were you so hurt when they left? Why were you so upset? Why were you so devastated? Because you had so much stuff riding on that relationship. You see, it's, God, there's just so much hidden beneath the surface. Saying I have a relationship is like saying I have the tip of an iceberg. Look at me, I have a relationship. And if I think I love them, there's a lot of stuff riding behind that. If I say I'm mad at them for doing something, there's a lot of stuff behind that. What I know about my life, what I know about my relationship with you, you know, this other person, whoever it is, there's so much beneath the surface. You know, somebody says, I'm really devastated, I'm so angry, I'm so hurt, whatever it is, that someone left me. I never just go, oh, well, it's all about the other person leaving. I will, when it's the right timing, I will ask them to become aware of all the times they lost someone. And let's say, for example, I saw a client this week who said, you know, my dad left when I was 1 or 2 or whatever, right? And it's like, how does that not hurt? Come on. So dad left me when I was a couple years old. He left a family. My mom was never the same. She was sad. She was depressed. She drank. I mean, that child's absorbing that. And if I were saying, if that child were me, I can tell you, here's what I'm feeling. Dad leaves, mom's devastated, we're depressed, there's a financial strain. Now all of a sudden, in my mind, here's the program. The program isn't just, I wish daddy were here. The program is also, if only he hadn't left. That's a big statement. If only he hadn't left, mom wouldn't be drinking. If only he hadn't left, mom wouldn't be sad. If only he hadn't left, we wouldn't have financial issues, and so on. So now, later in my life, or 5 lifetimes later, let's say, my thoughts that if only dad or the male doesn't leave could still be carried with me to where I have terror at the idea of a male partner, let's say, leaving me, because underneath it, it's ruined my life before. It's ruined households before. I mean, it's just terrible. And so I have that kind of a reaction to it. You know, there are people who, you know, I've seen children who I was asked to work on who you turn on a faucet of water, the sound of water running sent, there's one child into terrifying scream attacks, like terrified. It wasn't just like, oh, I kind of don't like water running. The kid went nuts over the sound of water running. You know that can't be, that's something visceral. There's something there in the mind. So we, you know, work on that. Another person, it's, you know, there's the ambiguous things like there's the creature under the bed kind of stories, you know, that some people have, and it's not a real thing. It's actually an archetype. All my fears are under the bed. It's not, there's not a thing. It's all of my fears. There's a monster outside, Daddy. It's all of my fears are the monster outside. So those are psychological bugaboos and creatures and whatever, boogeyman and so on. But there's the more tangible, so to speak, where it's not an archetype, but a memory, a thing, a specific thing. So some of us are having a problem. How come you don't have a relationship? Why can't I have a relationship? I don't have, they don't work, or I can't even find one. It's the strangest thing. I've been without a relationship, Michael, for 25 years. And instead of going, oh, that's terrible, get on, you know, easyhookups.com, I'm going to say, why don't we look at what that's about? Because I'll tell you this much, even without a lot of searching, let's just use one example. Let's pretend in the past life you were a nun. And that word means a lot of things. It means none relationships, none fun, you know, none of anything good, you know. There's vows of poverty, vows of chastity, you know. I mean, as a nun, you literally are shaming the idea. In fact, you're considered to be betrothed to God or Jesus. So the very idea of a relationship is a sin. And I come in with that program. You don't think that might affect you? Of course. To even have a relationship means I'm betraying my love for God. And even as I just said that, I started picking up that some of you are crying as I'm talking about that. You know, and I'm sorry. Let it, cry it out, because you were wrong. We were wrong to think that. To think that, you know, you did something wrong by, okay, I think I'll come back now and have romance. Oh no, I have this subconscious pattern that says somehow, you know, it's naughty, it's bad, it's not allowed. You know, so what can I do? I don't shame having been a nun. But instead, oh, well, I did that, didn't I? When was that? Is that today? No. I've already done that. It's like done, complete, stamp, bye, be done with it. Close the chapter, close the book. I did that. Don't shame it. Even learning from it. God, I wish I hadn't done that, because that made me somehow believe in needing to go without relationships. There was nothing wrong with being devotional to God. Yeah, there's also some negative things we've picked up from lifetimes, but you know, try to look at what you gained from it, learn from what wasn't so good, and move on, and grab hold of what was so good. I love that I was devotional to God. I really love that. I feel so, you know, proud, because a lot of people live real shallow and they're not into God. And yeah, I gave a whole lifetime or two or whatever to God. So find the positive out of it, but understand that past lives can, you know, teach us things, you know, to take with us, but also they can stifle us. They can smother us. They can control us. And usually they are. Humans that aren't awakened are nothing but controlled by everything without realizing it. Even if they know how to yell and be loud and act all independent. That's just a game we play. I did a talk, you'll see it somewhere in our catalog. I think it's called False Weakness and False Strength. That's something like that. Check that out. That's only just a few weeks ago. It was a live talk at Unity of Sedona. And that false weakness, that it's a false humility, and the false strength. Those of us who act so loud and like, look at, I'm really a confident, clear person. Sometimes that's just compensation. Because if you're not awakened, you are being controlled to some degree by genetics, by race, by culture, by people's opinions, childhood programs. You come in with past lives. You come in then with childhood issues, and then you have to deal with young adult issues, and even today. So the self you see, me who I present to you, any of us, is going to be a conglomeration of, a collection of all of my past. An awakened person starts peeling off all of my past stuff. We start to go, well, no. What you meet here is me. It's a greater version, a truer version of me as a soul. Now, I'm still a person who's had lifetimes, but I took the negative lifetimes and said, you will not smother me, control me. In fact, I learned from you what I wanted to learn. So you are gone, like you're air. You're just dissipated, and I've extracted what I wanted from it, and I'll use that. Thank you. It could be, anything from artistic sense to a knack for being sensitive, intuitive, or whatever. I'm going to take that with me. I don't need to take the whole lifetime and drag it along with me. A master extracts what they want of value from something and moves forward. That's for starters. Then that's of the negatives. But then there's the positives. It's the same thing. Even the positives we don't want to dwell on. We can say, listen, I was once, a happy, historic character. Everybody liked me. I was a queen of whatever, Egypt. And now everybody should still like me because of that. That's only going to cause you harm. In fact, a lot of people you run into that are struggling with entitlement, sometimes it's from this lifetime, but there are people that are born with it. They come in and they just think they are, if they were an only child, sometimes that'll perpetuate it. And so we think the only child syndrome is the reason for that. Before they were an only child, they might have been something significant or semi-significant, a legend in their own mind. And they came in saying, I need to be pampered. I need to be praised, And so we come back as an only child because we can't afford any competition. We want to have all the praise. So the only child thing could be a psychological reason, but you might have been an only child because of past life reasons. So we come in and we carry these things with us. And our job ultimately is to look at relationship obstacles, oppressions, stifling moments, areas of our life where we're not feeling free. Because as I awaken, I am bidding farewell to the control past lives have had on me. And I start to become more like I get to choose God and I. Because God too will pitch in with this saying, let's utilize your intuitive skills with your skills of command and confidence, but using it for greater good rather than personal lacks and fears, compensations. So it's kind of cool how it all starts to work if we just work it well. If we put things in perspective. You can say, why is it that I can't forgive my ex? Well, because they left me. Careful. You're not just mad at them for what they did, if there is such a case in your life, in this lifetime, or a boyfriend from high school. It's not just what they did in this lifetime. It's what it means to you. And a lot of times the meaning is rooted in past lives, but even in this lifetime. For example, if I had really great parents and they taught me that I was wonderful, now I'm saying to myself, let's say I'm a female and I say, I really was brought up to know that I have value. And that's really healthy, obviously. And I'm glad I had really great parents. A lot of people don't have that. But let's pretend this is an ideal situation, and I'll still show you how it can nosedive. So an ideal situation, still. Now when I go and date someone, because of past lives, not my childhood, past lives, there's a little something unresolved or unhealed in me, a question, a doubt I have about my value, despite this life doing pretty well. I have a question mark or an issue perhaps with my value. Maybe I have a karmic thing I have to pay off. So I meet somebody who I'm like pitter-patter over, wow, this person, I met a guy or a girl that I'm attracted to, and this is kind of cool. And we give them our body, we give them our heart, and they just stomp on it after a while. They pretend to be in love, they use us physically, and they dump us, okay? Now, why did that happen if the parents didn't contribute to such a thing? Sometimes, deep inside, I'm still saying to that partner, I was so loved and taken care of, I need you to do that for me now. You need to be my new version of a parent. And often they can't live up to that. So what we do is we end up getting hurt. We're mad at them, not just for using us, but for us being dumb enough, and I'm using a figure of speech, meaning sometimes we feel that way. We're mad at ourselves for being dumb enough. Man, I had a great life. My parents were great. And so I was feeling healthy and pure sexually, and I gave that to you, and you ruined it. I'm not just mad that you betrayed me. I'm mad that I wish I would have picked something that would have lived up to that standard that I had. I'm just explaining examples of how there's layers of things. There's other angles that we miss sometimes. So, needless to say, those other angles, those other perspectives, when you start bringing in past lives, guys, if you've only had 10 lifetimes, and you likely had more, lots, there could be 1,000, but if you've only had 10 lifetimes, if you had 2, it still carries with it enough stuff to really affect us in this lifetime, pushing and pulling us. So in a past life, I was someone who was a free thinker, but people laughed at me. Okay, no problem. I still know that I was right in my free thinking, right? Great. Now I'm born again, but I have this subtle sensitivity about people laughing at me when I'm expressing my opinions. And you get some friends behind you going, I need to be heard, I need to be honored, and so on. And they'll say, yeah, that's right, But getting people to agree with you doesn't heal you. The truth is, I have this sensitivity. And it could be, we carry all kinds of issues that we think are just from this lifetime, and they're not, Even the fears of commitment. Like I said, we can project, I'm only committed to God and I can't commit to other people. There's that kind of stuff. There are people that are, for example, organically gay or organically straight. But there are also people who are gay because they've been priests in other lifetimes, monks, and they felt a certain affection, or nuns, and they felt and lived certain affections for each other. They had almost a closet version of relationships, literally and figuratively, with the same gender, and they come back in this lifetime with that attraction or that confusion. For some of them, it's a confusion. When it's not organic and thorough in your being, you're living out of confusion. So some of us are going, if we just get that, as I'm going to start wrapping up now, I want to look at solutions. If you start getting, wait a minute, this can be a compulsion from the past rather than inspiration in the present. No, some of us, I feel aligned, inspired, and it's organic. I am a musician. I am gay. I am straight. I am this. I am that. I love this. I love that. I'm not into that. I'm not into that. Or it's just there thoroughly. Like sometimes we can learn when we wake up, we start to see when it's really clear and organic. But to get there, we have to start owning the ones that are not real. And that takes a little bit of a blow to the ego in more ways than one. Just the blow to the ego that I thought that I was in love with this person, and I found out, geez, it was just a past life kind of we met each other just to clear some old stuff. Who wants to think that? Oh, I told everybody I loved this person. I sent out, cards to everybody that we're going to get married, and they dumped me. Oh, I feel really great now. You don't usually say, guess what, everyone? You can take back your toasters and exchange them at the store because I have a revelation. This wasn't real. That's not the way humans react to those things. It becomes, can you believe that jerk did that? And what's sad is our past life and current life hurts we carry with us, affecting us onwards from this time. And it need not happen. The person you think harms you, remember, to help heal this, to help turn it around towards a positive, start remembering to connect the dots. So this person hurts me. All my hurts from all time are wrapped up. It's not them. You would be amazed, I hope in a good way. There's the first amazing in a shocking way, but in a good way, you'll be amazed when you realize that when we put all this energy on that person and we thought they devastated us, they can't. They're just believe it or not, they're just inconsequential. They're non-valuable. They're a non-entity. No, that was my love of all my life. No, it isn't. It's someone you thought that about. You don't want to hear this, but you thought that because you put all this stuff on them. You took all this, I was never loved in another lifetime, and they're going to be different this time. This person's going to prove my value. And when they don't, damn them. But I put that on them. I need to recognize my own value. And I'm not just talking about becoming, self-aware and detached from the world. It's just that when we start to realize it all starts here, I can start attracting people who are more authentically who they really are, or more authentically part of my life. Not compulsively pushing and pulling codependent relations, but real things. Those of you who believe in soulmate type of things, that there's such a thing, but it's our connections to other people. Some people are into twin souls, and they say, and there is such a thing. It's people who make a spiritual pact to accomplish something wonderful while they're here. So we don't just have one, we could have several, maybe at least a few twin souls, people that we have a pact to accomplish. Some of us haven't even found one yet. But that's because we were living from limited old ways of thinking. And now when we start to wake up, we become a little more aligned with the idea of more and more soulmate relations, meaning soul buddies from the past, and twin soul relationships, meaning pacts we have with certain couple individuals to do something wonderful. When we get our act together on the inside, it starts manifesting on the outside. When we don't have it together on the inside, that's what manifests on the outside. So it's an inside job, as we say about so many things, but healing the past, healing relationships, it's all part of what, we're here to improve. And so remember this, when you think you're angry at an ex somewhere, you're not just angry at them or what they did. It's everything you brought into and put onto them, into the relationship and put on them. It's, I want to feel loved. Oh, you love me. Wow, this is a great relationship. They leave and you go, you lied to me. You made me think I was lovable and I'm mad at you now. How dare you? But what you're really saying is, with you was writing all of the other hurts from the past. So now I'm not just mad at you. I'm mad at the whole thing. And it takes a responsible, awakening person to be able to own that. Like, oh my gosh, I get it. I thought it was you. Every time we have a letdown, it means we had an agenda, an attachment to something. We put something on someone. They can't let us down without there being something we put up. They fell off the pedestal. Why'd you put them on the pedestal? I'm not saying don't have positive thoughts and hopes and aspirations, but I'm saying, understand the real meaning. When we put people on a pedestal, you be the person that'll never leave me. You be the person that makes me feel valuable. Those people are going to fall because nothing outside of us can actually bring us those things. Furthermore, those things are not actually missing. We think they are. So we bit the apple in the Garden of Eden. We bit the apple, we bit the lie that there's something wrong with us. Then we bit the next lie, which is someone out there can probably fix it for us. And they never do. So we stay in these karmic cycling around and around and around. And we start to realize, wait a minute, I'm going to get off the crazy, spiral here and not be in the gravitational pull of a solar system, a planet, and a galaxy and a universe, that I'm just here to live a grave gravity kind of a life where I'm sucked in. I'm free of it. And now I'm holding a center. Even with the whirling still happening, this isn't me anymore. Oh my God, I can't believe these people did them. Oh my God, it's my childhood. Oh wait, past lives. On and on and on, so much. You can't fix it. It's impossible to fix all that. Next, just do this. This spirals and you're centered. Wow, I get it. Okay. Now things don't push and pull me. I get it. Nothing new under the sun. Nothing has power over me. And I start to become self-aware, and I start to realize my value is right here. I'm a wonderful soul in a way that I don't even know yet because I'm just waking up. But also I have a suspicion in that spiral, there's lots of other individual souls that are also wonderful. But I can't tell if they're wonderful because they're spinning around me. And when I'm desperately spinning, I try to cling on to something that's also spinning so I can try to hold on to it. And it's a partnership. But I realize I only grabbed it because I'm desperately being spun around. That's what you do. The impulse is to grab hold of something. When your car slides on ice, you grip the wheel harder as though that's going to help. It's just a natural survival technique. So relationships are nothing but us gripping, clenching onto something for a pseudo-sanity. And instead, they just become part of the problem. Gosh, the poor guy, poor girl, girls, guys, poor parents, they never stood a chance. I was never even centered enough to get to know partners and bring them the real me. Oh my God, what have I done? I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry I was in such a state you couldn't see the real me. It's like I was so ill and I woke up and realized you had visited the hospital and I'm so embarrassed. I look like hell and it's just a terrible situation, right? And that's how we all look on earth. We all just are pretty freaky looking in a full-on post-surgical kind of experience. And we show ourselves and we feel terrible. We can wake up and start to realize we have shown the not best part of us. You saw me when I was upset. You saw me when I was scared. So sorry. But I'm now getting to know the real me. Would any of you like to get to know the real me? If so, great. If not, I understand. Because I've been freaky at times. So, I would understand why you might not want to incarnate with me or share any time with me. That's totally understandable. See, it's easy. It's like centered. No investment. But for those of you who are interested, great. It'd be cool because I'm getting to know me. If you're open to it, I'd like to get to know you from this deeper place. Who are you? Not who are you in your brokenness, compulsions, and unhealed wounds from past lives. Who are you now that you're extracting the valuable pieces of the good and not so good parts of your past lives and assembling a new person? Because you're going to go through three selves. The totally false self, broken, the healing self, which is the one that starts to assemble a new self, and then the divine self. So that's our journey. We came from divine to a semi-divine to a broken self, and everybody's been living from the broken self, trying to actually have relationships as though that's going to work, without even realizing why we react the way we do. It's not just childhood stuff, not even just young adult stuff, it's even past lives. So try to imagine the weight of all that. Oh my God, Michael's talking and this makes sense. How was I ever going to manage all of that? And that's the weight of the world, where we're trying to wear masks under the pressure of so many things at once. Hi there. Nice to meet you. My name is Joe, and I'm looking for a good partner. You seem like a really great person. I feel a nice connection, and yet cracks. I hope we can spend some time together. Cracks. Like that. I mean, it's kind of a great sci-fi concept. Here you are presenting yourself to the world, any of us, and if we pay attention, there's all these cracks. And we look at that person as though, I am not seeing those cracks. I am not, because we don't want them to see the cracks that we're producing on our masks. Because those masks are saying, hi, nice to meet you, and I would love to, yes, we really are hitting it off, and I would love to marry you, I do, and so on. I'd love to partner with you or whatever, instead of, and, oh my God, I'm remembering, I was once a nun, you were a priest, and you used to toy with us nuns and control us and push and pull and have, the church behind you. Oh my God, I hate you, I hate the church, I hate priests, I hate black outfits, I don't know why, and all this is panicking inside of us, where in fact, oh, if we could see it. Oh, I don't want you to be the father of my children. You were the father in another life. I didn't like you then, and I don't like the games now. So what say we just go, bye, peace out, bye. You might go back to that church thing, you might not, that's your business. But for me, I kind of feel clear, and I'm not dissing church, I'm saying it's just a metaphor of one example of a person having problems. How can that not haunt you? Childhood is enough to haunt us. Imagine that you've had 1,000 childhoods, 10 childhoods, and let's say 8 of them didn't go well, guys. There it is. This stuff haunts us. Your commitment to doing recovery work, 12-step recovery work, your commitment to doing counseling, your commitment to doing spiritual work, meditation, all the work we're doing. One of the roles, functions of doing all the work we do is to dismantle the past. So I don't have to give you a recipe or remedy per se, other than stay on your journey and deepen what you think it was. You're not just meditating so that you can say, oh, I saw pretty light while I was meditating. You're dismantling the past in your meditations, your 12-step work and all. You're trying to dismantle the past so that you can shift who you are in the present and then open up to an unlimited future. There's a huge purpose to all the work we're doing. It's not happenstance. It's not half, with only half meaning. It's very beautiful and very deep. And again, if you heard me, I'm not dissing past lives in general, nor the belief in them, nor the meaning of them. I'm saying there's a point where they have controlled us and enough is enough. Now I'm going to take control, God and I, and decide what parts of my past are of value to me today so that I can create a new future. God and I will decide. Not it will decide my life and make me act compulsively. Where if I see somebody in red, I get a headache and I start getting nauseous and I have to leave a room because they're wearing red because of some past life. It's I don't have to act compulsively anymore. All of a sudden, there's not certain foods or people or races that trigger me. I saw what it was. I learned how to track it, look and release it, and it all becomes neutral. It's all neutral. I have no false loves or hates in my being anymore. Now everything's in the moment. I'm at peace with it all. Nothing's pushing, nothing's pulling. I'm centered. I pray that all made sense. Okay? Thanks for listening. That was kind of nice and kind of cool, and I appreciate it that you tune in, and hopefully we shared enough specific answers to some thoughts you might have had.